try to ask this a different way.
Yeah.
The president is
get
still in office. I'm just going to try. He's still in office for a month. The American people really haven't heard from him on whether or not the government is going to shut down. Wouldn't the message hit differently if the president were out there countering the message that we're hearing from the president-elect and Elon Musk? Why isn't he speaking on this?
Republicans are breaking their word. They are breaking their word to support a bipartisan agreement. We would not be in this position if Republicans in the House did not break their word. That's where we are. And we're talking about what the agreement, when you think about what the agreement would do, it would lower prescription drugs costs and make it harder to offshore jobs to China. We're talking about veterans who need these services. And instead, what they want to do is they put forth a bill that would pave the way for tax break for billionaires. That's what they did. Instead of going with a bipartisan agreement, they put forth something that would pave the way for their billionaire friends. That's not about the American people. That is just not about the American people. And we have been here before when we're trying to make sure that there's not a government shutdown. The president has had the same strategy. He knows how to work with Congress. And so in this instance, the Republicans blew this deal up. They did. They blew it up, and they need to fix it. This is not for the president to fix. This is not for us to fix. This is for Republicans in Congress to fix the mess that they created.
But has he expressed any thoughts or feelings on the president-elect and Elon Musk?
You're hearing what I'm saying, right? I speak for the President of the United States. So when I speak for the President of the United States, I am speaking directly for him. So you are hearing where he feels about this, what his thoughts are about this, and we believe, and the American people should know this, that Republicans need to fix the mess that they caused. The Speaker knows how to get this right. To get this right is to move forward with a bipartisan agreement, the bipartisan agreement that they had come to not too long ago. We thought we were going to move forward with that agreement, and they blew it up. They blew it up. You good? Okay.
Thanks, Karine. Has the government started informing employees who might be furloughed?
Yeah.
Those specific folks, especially heading into the holiday season, are they being informed that they might not get their paycheck?
So, look, we believe that there's still time for Congress to prevent a partial shutdown. We believe that. But in the interest of prudent planning, we want to be prudent here. Agencies did start notifying their employees of their potential furlough today at noon. And so on that specific, as it relates to furloughs, I would certainly refer you to OMB on those specifics.
And given the high stakes of this shutdown, again, during the holiday season, affecting people like veterans, police officers, et cetera, will the president speak to the American people if there is a shutdown so that they can hear from him directly?
I am not going to get into hypotheticals because we believe, as I just at the beginning of answering your last questions, that there's still time to prevent a partial shutdown. We believe that Congress, Republicans in Congress, could get to a place where they prevent this.
When is the next time that people will hear from the president?
I'm not going to get into hypotheticals. It is very easy. I hear your question, but it's very easy to fix this. The mess that Republicans created, it is very easy for them to fix this. Bipartisan deal agreement. Move forward. Keep your word, Republicans in Congress. Keep your word. Keep your word. Go ahead.
Thank you, Karine. I have a question on China. In the final month of this administration, we continue to see high-level talks between us and China, including last week. Is President Biden making his final effort to strengthen U.S.-China relationship ahead of Trump administration? And are you concerned those mechanisms you've established with China might be abandoned next year? Thank you.
So, and I'm just going to repeat what the president has said, what the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, have said from this podium about the relationship, the U.S. relationship with China. And what the president remains doing is, and is incredibly focused on, is managing the most consequential relationship. You've heard both of them say that. It is the most consequential relationship. And it is because of the work of this administration that we are handing off the U.S.-China relationship in a stronger, competitive position. Remember, in the beginning of this administration, we would talk about how it is about competition. That's how we wanted to kind of see that relationship as well, about competition. So that's what the president and this administration is leaving the incoming relationship. Under President Biden, we have made America stronger and positioned us to outcompete China through significant investments in the United States, develop closer relationship with our allies and partners in the Indo-Pacific, increase our deterrent capabilities, and diminish China's ability to exploit our most sensitive technologies. At the same time, we are carefully managing, and we have carefully managed this relationship through skilled diplomacy to prevent competition from varying into conflict. Remember, that's what we want. We want competition, not conflict. So we're going to continue to manage this relationship. I'm not going to get into hypotheticals of what the next administration may or may not do, but what I can lay out, as I just did, is how the president has focused on this consequential relationship with China, the U.S.-China relationship. Okay.
Thank you. Just following up on Karine's question on the trip to Italy and what would be the second meeting with the Pope. We all know that for the president, his face is very important, but this isn't a trip he's taking as a private citizen. This is a trip he's taking as head of state. So what's the broader message here? Why this choice for what might be his final international trip?
So look, we're going to have more information as we normally do. We do background calls, press calls with all of you as we head into an ACONUS. We're going to do the same. Nothing has changed. And we will lay out the goals, the reasons, what we expect to get out of this trip. But I tried to give you a little bit of what the president, the logistics of who the president's going to meet, and the discussions that he's hoping to have. Let's not forget, the prime minister she's the leader of the G7 right now, right, and has shown strong leadership. So that's important too, to have for him to have that continue that diplomatic conversations with her as well. And so certainly we will have more to share as we get closer to the travel.
Thanks, Karine. There are some Republican lawmakers who are actually advocating for a government shutdown. One example is Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia. She says shut it down. Can you explain the repercussions of what a partial government shutdown would be for specific groups, for seniors, for veterans, for those that depend on government services? Can you explain what this possibility would mean for those individuals?
And it is sad that I have to explain that, really. They are congressional members. One of their duties is to keep the government open because, as you just stated, we're talking about veterans. We're talking about vulnerable Americans who need services that the federal government provides in order just to make it through the day. And it is sad that what we're seeing from Republicans is picking their billionaire friends. That's what they're doing. Not the American people, not our veterans. And we're talking about basic services that are needed. OMB certainly could dive in and lay out the different programs that will be impacted, that will impact Americans if this indeed happens. But John, we can avoid this. They can avoid this. This does not have to end this way. We do not have to end with a government shutdown, and really put a negative impact on American families, a negative impact on our veterans. This could be avoided. Republicans in Congress don't have to go this route. They don't. There was a whole different route that they were going, which would have actually been done in a bipartisan way. This president believes that it is important as we move policies, as we move forward on behalf of the American people, we do it in a bipartisan way. And they had that deal.
Do you happen to know if there would be a delay of any kind for Social Security recipients from receiving their checks or members of the military from receiving their pay?
You're laying out everything that we're concerned about. Those are the things that we are concerned about. Yes, those are concerns. But there's a way out of this. There is. Republicans need to fix this. They need to fix this mess that they created. It's very easy to do.
You do an excellent job advocating on behalf of the president, but do you think the president would do a better job if he was out there making those same ideas present to the public in terms of what a shutdown would mean for all of those vulnerable Americans.
What I will say is Republicans need to do their job. I would not be fielding these questions from you all if Republicans didn't lead us here. They did. They created this mess. The only reason we're having this back and forth is because the Republicans created this mess in Congress, in the House specifically. They created this mess. And they can fix it. They were on their way to fixing this with this bipartisan agreement. So I think the onus is on them to get this right. Okay.
Does the administration have any updates on the whereabouts of Austin Tice compared to last week?
Yeah, don't have any updates to share. Obviously, it is a priority for this president to get Austin home. That is something that certainly we want to see. I will speak to Assistant Secretary Barbara Leaf and Ambassador Roger Carstens traveled to Damascus, Syria, to engage with the Syrian people, including members of civil society activists and other Syrians about their vision for the future of their country and how the United States can help support them. They also met with representatives of the interim authorities to discuss transition principles shared by the United States and regional partners. In their meetings, to your question, they stressed the immense importance of finding missing U.S. citizens, including Austin Tice, and bringing them home. So that continues to be a priority. Any specifics about that meeting, I would refer you to the State Department. I know at 12:30, the two State Department officials held a on the record press conference. So I would refer you to that press conference that they had. It might still be going, but they certainly were able to talk in more details and take questions about this. And again, they touched on Austin Tice and this, and more broadly, obviously bringing U.S. citizens home.
Does the president have, say, 3 top priorities for things he still wants to accomplish in the next 31 days he's in office?
Well, one of the things that I can say is keeping the government open, right? We want to make sure that happens. Congress had a bipartisan agreement. They should move forward. Republicans should not get in the way. Should choose the American people first, not Republican or their billionaire friends. And so that is something that we have said many times from here, that was a priority for this president. Certainly, we want to continue to excel the implementation of key priorities that the president has had, meaning the bipartisan infrastructure legislation, the CHIPS and Science Act. We want to make sure that those investments, that continues, and we want to excel on that. And we've talked about continuing to lower costs as it relates to prescription drugs, but lowering costs more broadly, certainly for the American people. And so that's our focus. That's what we've been doing, and we're going to continue certainly to do that.
And we can expect more announcements on at least some of those fronts in the next few weeks.
I would say stay tuned. We are trying to truly run through the tape here and get as much done as we can for the American people. And we know that the American people wants us to continue to work on their behalf, and that's what the press is going to be focused on.
Real briefly, since you mentioned the shutdown, different angle on that question,
Sure.
Potential shutdown, I should say.
Yeah.
Should the American people be confident that in the event of a shutdown, there would still be a smooth transition and inauguration process?
That has been the president's commitment. And that you've heard directly from him. We want to make sure that there is a responsible, committed to a responsible transition. And as you know, his team, he and his team has certainly been working towards that. The team has been preparing for months to make sure that happens. I will say, though, if there is a shutdown, and I don't want to get too much into hypotheticals, but this is the reality, transition activities will be restricted. And with limited exceptions, obviously, but such as prevent imminent threats to the safety of human life or the protection of property. Those are the things that we would that we would have to be concerned about. And so we're doing everything to ensure a smooth transition. But the choice to allow a transition to move forward is in the hands of Republicans in Congress. We can continue to have this smooth transition of power if they stop threatening a shutdown, they have an opportunity. Republicans in Congress have an opportunity to keep the government open so that we can continue what the president's commitment has been for months now, is to make sure that there is a smooth transition of power.
Great, Kimberly.
Two clarifications, I guess. The first one, is this trip to Rome the last foreign trip that the president will take?
What I can say is the president's going to Italy and is going to go on a CONUS trip in January. I'm always very careful. Anything could happen. But what I can say for sure is that the president's certainly going to be going to Italy. We announced that. We'll have more to share. I don't have anything else to share.
And then secondly, related to the CR, given what you said about the president's views on debt limit increases or eliminating the debt limit, does that mean that would be something that would be vetoed by the president if it reached his desk?
I'm not going to get into hypothetical. I'm just not. I think what is important here is there is a path forward. There has been a path forward. There is a bipartisan agreement that Republicans tanked because of what they were directed to do by Elon Musk and President-elect Trump. That's what happened. That is the reality that we're in now. And this is not the direction that we thought we were going just a couple of days ago. And so Republicans blew up this deal. They can fix it. It is their mess to fix. And they have to choose the American people. They have to do their basic job, is choosing the American people and delivering for them. Thanks, everybody.